Hi, welcome. My name is 𝐭𝐡𝐞𝐲. I'm here to share success stories of women from all around the globe to inspire and to encourage millions of women to write their own success story. Today, we'll be talking about the imposter syndrome. Have you ever heard of that? Well, let me shortly introduce you to it. You have achieved a success. You've been promoted, but you feel like, what am I doing here? I feel like a fraud. One day they will discover that I'm not qualified for this. And do you sometimes have these feelings? Imagine 70% of the people, women and men, experience this feeling once or even several times during their lives. Today, we'll be talking to an expert about the imposter syndrome, Vera Thienert. Welcome, Vera. It's so great to see you.
Good morning, Anita. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us and sharing your wisdom. So I have briefly introduced the imposter syndrome. Is there anything you would like to add right now?
Yeah, perhaps just a thing that I like to underline also towards the people I work with. It's called syndrome, but it's not a medical diagnosis. It's not a medical condition, mental health condition. It's just a really distorted perception of self. And I think that's important. If you experience this, you're not mentally ill or sick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. How have you discovered this phenomenon? What was your first encounter with it?
Yeah. Well, like many people who start working with something like that, they do it because they have experienced it themselves. For me, it was back at university. I think I studied international relations, and back then I had these first thoughts that I felt like, oh my God, everybody else in class is so much better informed. They're so much better in forming an opinion. What am I actually doing here? And I got good grades, etc. But I felt like, you know nothing about international relations. You know nothing about politics. And that grew stronger and stronger when I entered the labor market later on. And I remember very vividly that I spoke to a friend of mine. We were sitting on my couch, and she's a really well-educated, very successful woman. And she said, Vera, you know what? Sometimes I think if my boss knew how incompetent I actually am, she would never hire me again. And back then I thought, oh my God, you have these thoughts as well? I thought I was the only one. And sometime later, I spoke to another friend and I shared this situation, and she said, yeah, that's the imposter syndrome. And I was, what? That even has a name? And that was such a major relief to realize, okay, if it has a name, I'm probably really not the only one. Yeah, and these were my first encounters, and probably that was my first step into my journey of dealing with it.
Wow. Yesterday I did some research, and it's incredible how many people experience it, and just as many women as men. I would have thought personally that it's rather women who experience this, but I also read that women experience it more intensely, but men, okay, they maybe experience it but go on, and women, they hold themselves back. Also when they get negative feedback, it strengthens this phenomenon, and they might not apply for a promotion or not follow their dreams that quickly or that strongly.
Yeah, exactly. I think the reason why we observe it more in women, or we think to observe it more in women than in men, is women are more conditioned or trained to be modest and self-critical, not brag with their achievements. This is a generalizing statement, but I think it holds true in many cases. And the second thing is, at the same time, women more likely talk about their feelings and their thoughts and their self-doubts. You mentioned in your earlier statement that people don't talk about it because it might be considered a weakness, and women more often talk about their perceived weaknesses or alleged weaknesses than men. So, but as you say, both men and women experience it, absolutely.
It's also a mental health issue, and I'm really glad that mental health is more and more accepted, this topic in the working world, and the companies see that it's important to deal with it, to support their employees.
Yeah, absolutely. I do work in HR, and I do see a lot of developments happening with regards to mental health at the workplace, psychological safety at the workplace, come as you are, be who you are, etc. I gladly also observe that there's more and more public conversation and discourse about imposter syndrome, although I need to say, I still feel there's room for improvement, that this specific experience with imposter syndrome or imposter thoughts is being addressed, because people who experience these feelings, they very often play small at the workplace, and then everybody loses, the employee, but also the company, because those people typically would not live up to their full potential.
Yeah, sounds logical. So you mentioned you've discovered it. You discovered it exists. You discovered it's also part of your life. How has this changed, affected, impacted your life?
How it has changed my life that I discovered that I have these thoughts.
What were your next steps? Did you just observed, okay, it's part of who I am, or have you taken concrete actions to deal with it, to maybe fight it?
Yeah. So this discovery, or this awareness was a major first step. It wasn't until some years later, about 3 years ago perhaps, that it has gotten so strong, also in the context of increasing stress with Corona, lockdowns, increasing workload. And I felt, compared to everybody else, I felt so incompetent and so much like a fraud. I felt like, okay, it's really impacting my well-being, it's impacting my mental health, and I'm just self-sabotaging my own development as well. So I realized I really have to act, because it just made me unhappy at some point. And I started reaching out for help, like I sought mentorship and coaching several times with different characters or different types of coaches and counselors as well. And yeah, step by step, I learned a couple of things and reflected a couple of things that helped me to say today, okay, I have a different view on myself. I have a different view on topics like performance, worthiness, recognition, appreciation, self-worth, self-love, that I have learned throughout those past 3 years. And that really changed my life entirely, really. Yeah.
Great. Would you say you have completely solved this issue? You don't have this phenomenon at all? Or is it like a lifelong process that you continually need to work on?
Yeah. Maybe it's possible to overcome it. Perhaps. I think, and this is what I also tell the people that I work with, it's the single best achievement I think you can already have is that you acknowledge it, and that you learn to know your triggers. What are the trigger situations? And you learn to identify this imposter voice in yourself. Yeah, because when you learn that and you acknowledge this voice, my thoughts are not facts, and you learn to distance yourself from that, and you say, okay, thank you, imposter voice, you can take a backseat now. This is something you can learn, and you review your idea of learning and failure. Like, it's normal as we grow and we learn and we leave our comfort zone. It is normal that we feel out of our depths. And if we accept that, and we accept, like, yes, I very likely with every new job, new project, new client, new promotion, I very likely will feel uncomfortable and I will feel insecure and I might doubt whether this was the right decision, but I will overcome it and it will become normal. And this is growth. And I think this is what people can achieve, this acceptance and going with the flow, going with their growth. But in my personal experience, for me, I think it will continue to be a journey.
Thank you. Yes, so true. Do you have maybe one or two tools that you can share that people can use in their everyday lives or regularly to, like, do self-coaching, or which helps them to deal with this syndrome?
Yeah. One thing I found very helpful is perhaps not self-coaching, but the challenge with people with imposter feelings is that they think their strengths are not worthy enough, or they don't contribute to successes with their strengths. So I would always recommend to take time, and not just 30 minutes, but really, really take time and write down, what are my strengths? What are what roles, jobs, projects, etc. have I already worked on in my life? What have I achieved in these roles? And then, and that's the imposter challenge here, think, how have I, with my particular very own set of skills, contributed to these successes? And don't allow yourself to get away with, yeah, but it was just my colleagues who did it. Of course, a project is never successful only because of one person. Yeah, most things in life are a collaborative effort, but for sure you have had your share in this. And what exactly was that? So if we develop this ownership for our strengths, I think this is helpful. But that is like an exercise that needs some discipline, because you probably need to work on it for a while. But I really recommend it. And the second thing is this distancing yourself from your thoughts that I mentioned earlier. I actually have given my imposter feelings a name. So I don't know how it's in English. It's a character from the Sesame Street. It's this grumpy little green thing that lives in the trash can. And whenever I realize now I have these thoughts, I know, okay, it's not me, it's not Vera, but it's little grumpy who tries to tell me I'm not capable. And by now I'm able to say, okay, thank you, Grumpy, you can leave. And this distancing, by really, giving it a name, or thinking.
What do you call it in German?
It's Oscar aus der Tonne.
Oscar aus der Tonne. Love it. Great. Yeah, give it a funny name. Then you even laugh when you think about it.
Yeah, also because it's a little belittling, because it's a thing from a kid's series. So I don't need to take it serious then. So yeah, a character, or even a thing that you say, oh yeah, I can put it aside physically, even perhaps, that is really helpful, I think. So if everybody who experiences that can think of something that they would like to actually put aside, that would be a helpful name or a thing to call your imposter feelings.
Thank you. So useful, especially this nickname. You can visually put it aside or put it in the bin. What I also like and personally do is having a success journal. Whenever you feel like, oh, what qualifies me, or you think about your strength, or you apply for a job or a project or whatever, you can read through these stories and strengthen yourself, empower yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Journaling is a habit that has proven helpful in many ways, and it's a nice way, I think, to also make this writing down your achievements and your contributions to team successes perhaps a habit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to take it and say, okay, my team was successful with this project and this is my contribution to it. And then when you apply for a new job, you can reread it and see, well, actually, I'm really competent and I'm a good catch for any employer. Yeah.
True. Yes. Is the imposter syndrome actually something that is only experienced in professional environments or also in private life?
I've heard that you can experience it also in private life and parental life. There are different types of imposter feelings, and there's the so-called perfectionist who really wants to have things perfect, or things they are not worthy if not everything is perfect, like the perfect relationship, the perfect house, the perfect kids, the perfect outfits, everything, perfect hobbies. And it's mostly research though in work life, but absolutely you can have it elsewhere. I'm a mom of 2 little kids, and I have moments where I doubt that I actually should have had kids. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially as a mom, you you have the feeling that you're constantly missing something. Most of the time, work and private life. So when you think about your future, are there current projects that you're working on, or maybe a dream that you would like to realize one day?
Yeah. So I am about to launch my own side gig as a coach for people with imposter syndrome, where I help them to develop more self-esteem and awareness in professional development. It's my program is called Own Your Strengths, and that's really been to actually work as a professional coach has been a dream for quite some years. And now that I also have a topic that I feel confident working with, this is really a dream come true, and I'm very excited about it, to be frank. And going forward, I for work life, also related to people being insecure, people not being equally vocal with regards to their achievements. I just would like to see people in society, in work life, ask more questions and make less assumptions. Yeah, and I hope that with my program and my work, I can contribute to that.
Sounds good. Just like you mentioned, self-coaching, you can do things to help yourself, but it's really usually external support. It's much more efficient, quicker, easier to work through it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with different coaches, and I still now I seek coaching. I think that these self-limiting thoughts and beliefs about ourselves are often so deeply rooted. They have grown into habits that dominate our life. And I think it's very easy, it's not very easy to overcome that on your own. So if you have an external sparring partner, somebody who helps you to change perspective, somebody who helps you to see resources you have that you don't see on your own, I think that's always a good choice, especially when you realize, okay, it's really impacting my mental health.
True. Thank you. So, Vera, what is your secret to success?
My secret to success. That sounds it sounds a bit contradicting to what I said before, but I like to live by something that my mom frequently told me, which is fear is a bad counselor. Like when you have difficulties making a decision or you want to step up, but you don't dare, don't allow yourself to be guided by fear, because it's going to guide you in the wrong direction. And another one perhaps is one that I worked on with my own coach in the past couple of months. Change is a marathon and not a sprint. So again, if you're doubting yourself and you're doubting that you will ever be successful or feel successful, it is always a journey, and don't stop because you have self-doubts.
Thank you, really inspiring. If you had the chance to talk to your younger self, what would you advise her?
My younger self. God, I really struggled as a teenager. Like, you know, I was quite a nerd and never felt as cool as the other kids. So I guess my advice to my younger self would be, it's relax. It's going to be fine. Everything's going to be okay. And focus on what you are good at. Focus on what brings you joy. Don't care about what others think is aspiring to achieve. Really focus on your thing and get a mentor. Don't be afraid to fail. You will get up again. And it takes courage, but try to be yourself.
Thank you. Sounds wonderful. Which inspiring woman would you love to see in an interview with me one day?
God, I can think of so many inspiring women who are so very different, but I'm trying to pick someone who probably doesn't get so much spotlight typically, which is my sister-in-law. I find her determination and perseverance so remarkable. She comes from a working class family, from migrant parents, and like where she comes from, it wasn't the normal way for her to get a university degree, to get any form of higher education, but she did, and she did it in an unusual way. Like she got her A levels in the evening classes after working a full-time job in a supermarket, and she attended university and got a master's degree, entirely self-sustaining herself, always working all the time. And if you will ask her, she's going to be very, very modest about it. But I believe that many other people would have quit facing all the obstacles and the lack of push and support from her family. So I think this is really unique and outstanding.
Sounds wonderful. And what is your name?
Jessica.
Okay, great. Sounds wonderful. Well, Vera, thank you so much for your time and your inspirations. I think this topic is really, really important, and it's significant to talk about it, share it, so that more and more people deal with it, either alone or with a sparring partner, and own their own strength.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a great pleasure to talk to you. And yeah, I think every moment we exchange about this is a step in the right direction.
And to you guys out there, thank you so much for your time, for watching. I hope we could inspire you. If you feel like you detected some imposter syndrome in yourself as well, and there are so many books about it, blog articles, actually even celebrities who talk about it. Yeah, take the first step, deal with it, take a sparring partner, and go get out there and own your own strength, because you're worth it. See you next time. Take care.